In the northeast, French survivors fall back to the village, as their commander continues to make his way back to the fray. Jubilant British forces chase the French, while their supply train makes its way back to the bridges. General William Cuppage is joined by General Halliday, and together with Field Marshal Sir Percival Giffard they plan an assault on the French 2nd Brigade. But will the French cavalry make it in time to stymie their plans? General William Cuppage and the 2nd Brigade arrive first, only to find the French burning down the outskirts of the town, maybe in a vain attempt to deny or possibly slow down the British. The battlefield is dominated by a hill in the center, with a small forest atop it and a tributary river. General de Brigade, Jean-Charles Abatuxia, quickly forms up the middle guard battalions under his command, with one taking cover behind a recently burned down block, while the hussars support his attack column. On his left and further into the town, his small lancer regiment keeps an eye on the cannons and the last middle guard battalion. Swiftly moving past the watermill, General Cuppage places his attached lancers to his left flank and his cannon to the right, while he leads the bulk of the infantry up the center. French turn 1. Picking their way through the debris, a middle guard battalion set themselves up defensively using the rubble as cover. British turn 1. Lancers lead the way, as the brigade lurches forward. General Cuppage moves to the front, as his cannon batteries make their way up the hill slope. French turn 2. The brave hussars move towards the river, seeking to cut off the Allied lancers. At the same time, middle guard detachments enter town buildings setting up an ambush, while their cannon covers the main thoroughfare into town. Besides a few skirmishing musket shots, there has been little action so far, which favors the French as they wait for the cavalry to arrive. British turn 2. On the hill, cannons open fire both into the town buildings, and the guard hiding amongst the rubble. Following up from the cannon barrage, the lancers charge into the hussar regiment. In the long grass, the British infantry continues to advance forward, led by the exuberant General Cuppage. Meanwhile, in Cuppage's rear, the 4th Brigade begin to arrive. Following General Halliday are hussars and skirmishers. The results of the cavalry combat were brutal, with both sides taking massive casualties, ending with the French lancers being driven back. With classic British impetuousness, the remaining Allied lancers charge forward into the flank of the middle guard line, then easily scatter the guard only to turn around and fall back to the main English force. French turn 3. A small lancer detachment moves to support the devastated hussars. In the face of the onrushing British tide, the guard in the ruins gird themselves for close combat. British turn 3. Preceding the assault into the ruins, the British cannon does their best to add to the rubble, while the other battery continues to harass the guard units in the town fringe. With a roar, the British assault the guard in the ruins. Lancers circle outside to pick off stragglers. The British infantry clamber over the rubble and fight hand to hand, bayonet to bayonet. While the combat is going on, more hussars arrive around the flanks, and infantry march straight into the town edge, heading towards the bunkered down guard. The melee in the ruins proves to be especially vicious, with extreme losses on both sides. Regardless, the middle guard refuses to buckle. French turn 4. The cannon in the town try to assist the embattled guard. They manage to pick off some of the circling lancers. Seizing on the confusion, the French lancers charged into the Allied cavalry. The middle guard commanders exhort their men to show the British what the guard are made of, and the impassioned men rise to the challenge. Stepping over the bodies, they drive out and break one of the British battalions, as the lancers do the same in their clash. British turn 4. The cannon on the hill continue to wear down the middle guard hiding amongst the town buildings. while some British infantry fire volleys into the defensive guard battalion, causing even more casualties and giving the survivors no time to recover. Fresh British infantry rush into the ruins. Matching their energy, Allied British Lancers charge into their French counterparts. From atop the ruins, the chef de battalion looks down upon the advancing British and calls for his men to hold. They fight hard, taking a blood toll on the British, but ultimately there aren't enough guardsmen to hold the space, and the British move to claim the ruins. In the cavalry melee, the small French Lancer regiment is easily driven through, and the victorious Allied cavalry then confront the French hussars. Both sides take too much damage and choose to fall back in hopes of recovering. French turn 5. Guard artillery fire upon the ruins, seeking to drive out the depleted British infantry. And late, but hopefully not too late, arrive the French heavy cavalry and their attached cannon batteries. Cuirassiers lead carabiniers along the river edge. British turn 5. British troops stream into the town, making their way towards the hunkered-down guard. Supporting them are the Hanoverians. At the top of the hill, the English skirmishers enter the small forest. In the ruins, the British consolidate their position, as forces involved in the earlier fighting patch themselves up and get back into some sort of order. The riverbanks turn red as the British hussars charge into the French heavy cavalry. Cuirassier heavy sabres flash in the sun, chopping down many a hussar, and the small regiment breaks. French turn 6. Newly arrived 4th Brigade cannon blast apart the British hiding in the ruins. Guard cannon batteries fire upon the skirmishers on the hilltop, causing some casualties. Near the river, the heavy French cavalry steam roll into the Allied hussars, who put up a surprisingly strong resistance until turning and fleeing. British turn 6. Howitzers continue to harass the middle guard troops, who stay close to the ground behind the hedgerows, while some foolhardy British infantrymen put themselves between the depleted French heavy cavalry and the Lancers. General Coppage wisely tells the battalion near him to form a square, just in time, as another regiment of carabiniers moves past the ruins. Seeing how few heavy cavalry remain, and how tired they are, the British infantrymen charge and drive away the remaining cuirassiers. French turn 7. Still giving it their all, the guard battery continued to crash cannonballs through the forest and British skirmishers, while British infantry keep their heads down in the ruins. Dismounting, the carabiniers stalk through the forest hunting down British skirmishers, though they soon find the action way too tedious, and they remount heading back beyond the ruins. The other carabinier regiment charges the British line easily, felling the battalion and sending their supporting Allied Lancers back to the centre. British turn 7. All the British cannon batteries continue to send shells into the French forces, hoping to finish off the depleted French units. Taking advantage of the cannons keeping the middle guard's head down, British line infantry march down a cobblestone road. Hanoverian battalions form squares protecting the cannons, who are protecting them from the French heavy cavalry. French turn 8. With a massive burst of adrenaline, the French heavy cavalry charged after the Allied Lancers, looking to turn the British flank and then roll up the cannon batteries. The hussars urge their horses on and charge up the hill, looking to run down the last of the British forces in the centre. In a surprise move, the carabiniers, who had recently been in the forest hunting skirmishers, dismount yet again, this time to fight amongst the ruins. This combat will determine who takes the day. Can the depleted British infantry hold off the French cavalry, who no longer have their mounted advantage? As time seems to stall, it looks like the French will win. Their initial charge drives deep into the ruins, but just as the British are about to waver, their colour sergeant steps up to challenge the French, and leads the remaining infantry forwards, driving the French back to the outskirts of the ruins. In the long grass, the carabiniers continue their rampage, finally driving the Allied lancers from the field. British turn 8. The squares pour fire into the hussars aided by the cannons, taking a heavy toll, but the brave hussars refuse to leave the important hilltop. Meanwhile, in the town edge, the British infantry rushes the hedgerows and take the fight straight to the middle guard. What's left of the guard have had enough of the constant deluge of British cannon fire, and they take this chance to flee from the town buildings. Even though some of them have literally lost their heads, the Hanoverians form into a march column and head up the hill to contest the hussars. As night falls, the French cavalry are forced to retreat. Though they have seemingly won their day, the middle guard have abandoned the field, leaving all the defensive positions in British control. The day goes to the British, barely.